Hey guys, HardlyBriefDan here with an episode to talk about the new Unity GUI in 4.6. Right now, 4.6 beta came out on Friday, I believe. There's a link in the description below. First off, if you want to follow along with me and what I'm doing in this little mini tutorial series, you want to definitely go ahead and download that because these features will not be in 4.5 point whatever you may have. Or 4 point whatever you have, I don't know. So go ahead and download 4.6, and once you're done, come back and join us, and I'm going to show you a few things that I've learned so far using the 4.6 GUI system. It's amazing. It's so much better than the existing GUI system. A lot of you have messaged me in our other series that I've worked on about, how do you make your GUI system adjustable based on screen resolution and screen size, and basically the reason why I've kind of almost ignored that problem is I've ran into it several times in my projects, and I've come up with some hackish solutions, that kind of work and kind of didn't work, that created that basically would, like, percentage-wise shrink down your GUI, and on some components it would work, on some it didn't, and it was just a lot of unnecessary nonsense that you had to do. And so with this new Canvas or Unity GUI system, UGUI they're calling it, it takes away a lot of those pains. And I actually got up a new GUI system in a game I'm working on, another project I'm working on, really quickly, that adjusts to screen size, which is awesome, because that's one spot I've struggling to do, and I don't like to do, because the Unity GUI is just hard to work with. But now it's not. And that's what we're going to get started. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and cover some basics of the Canvas system. I'm going to talk about how to use the screen space overlay, which is the one option of the Canvas, and then I'll touch on that and touch about anchors and stuff. And then probably in the next video, we can kind of dive into more things to do. But first off, we're going to go ahead. I'm in an empty Unity project. It's in the terrain project that I used for the terrain video for the Unity Make an RPG series 3D terrain video. It's empty now. There's nothing in it. There's a test script that's empty. Excuse me, so you don't need to worry about that. So what we're going to do is go ahead and add a game object to the scene. And under game objects, you'll see a new panel here called UI, or a new option. And it's a UI option, and it has several different things in here. I'm going to go ahead and select Canvas. I'm going to zoom out to show you the canvas. The canvas is basically a representation. By default, it's a representation of your game screen down here. So if your game is 4:3, it's going to show 4:3, and it's going to change its resolution depending on the screen size. So see, I've made the game scene bigger when it up here, and it's adjusted to 1171 by 659. I'll go ahead and make it smaller, and it adjusts itself back. So you know that this actually changes this in scene view live as you add things and adjust the screen size, which is pretty cool. And that by default is render mode screen space overlay. You have a pixel perfect option here that allows you to have pixel perfect graphics that you add onto your GUI. And raycast, this graphic raycast stuff, I haven't messed around priority and stuff yet, so I can't really explain too much on that. But basically, I'll go ahead and talk about the canvas. The canvas is the new area, I guess, where you build your GUI. And there's three different types. There's screen space overlay, there's screen space camera, and world space. I'm going to talk about overlay today, or in this video, and in future videos we can go over the other two types. But basically, this is where you draw, paint, whatever you want to do, your GUI. That's why it's called a canvas, right? You're creating your artwork here on this piece of this game object that can be applied to any scene. It can be built into a prefab that you drag and drop on all your scenes. Basically, this holds you whatever GUI you want it to hold. So it's pretty neat. Everything in the canvas stays together. The canvas will act like the parent. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some new objects. We'll go ahead and drag in a text object. You see that it's automatically applied to the canvas. It's almost like the 2D view. Basically, it's attached to the canvas, right? So you can move it anywhere you want in the canvas. I'm going to go ahead and select this tool up here. This allows you to drag stuff around, and you can it snaps to edges and stuff. You can it's pretty cool. It's in the 2D Unity engine, but now they've added it to the 3D side while you're on the canvas editor. And basically, this allows you to drag text and stuff, and you can actually see it down in the game view over there, where it's at, right? So right now, you notice you're thinking maybe I lied to you that it doesn't actually adjust with screen size. It stays in that one spot, and unfortunately, that's true until you add a few things. But first off, we're going to make this text a little bit bigger and darker so that everyone can see it. We're going to say this is test. We'll go test text. I'm going to go ahead and make it pitch black, so it's dark. We're going to go ahead and say it's size 16. Oh, let's make it 22. Got to go ahead and adjust it. Bam. So you see it down there. You can add material to it. You can decide where you want the text to be aligned. So if you want it aligned in the center and to the right, it moves it over. If you want it aligned in the center, it does that. You can add a font style. You want it bold, you can make it bold. Line spacing, this is spacing between the lines, and then rich text. All this can be edited in script. So don't think that let's say you have text up here that shows, I don't know, some game information, life, current, game score. Okay, let's say game score. Well, you don't have to actually manually type in game score here. You can actually edit this component and edit the text component of the text option and the text component of this game object and set it to whatever you like. So that's cool. And I'll show you guys how to do that in a little bit. But basically, we have this text field, and now if I go ahead and move the screen around, you can see I'm actually going to have the screen a little bit bigger, and I'm going to move it up here to the top left. And this is just to demonstrate that if I move it below, it actually goes off the screen. And you guys are like, well, come on, it's supposed to readjust, and I promise you it does. Promise. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and put it up to the top left. Go ahead and click it, and you see this cool little thing up here, this rect transform, which is new to the Unity GUI system, and it has this little box here. These are called your anchors. You can manually set your anchors, or you can go ahead and you can choose a whole bunch of different ones. These are basically going to store or keep the object oriented to a specific anchor location. So let's say I'm going to click, since we have this in top left corner, I'm going to go ahead and click this to the top left. Right, so now it's going to be, you see this little anchor symbol here, it's going to be anchored to this top left hand corner. So no matter how much I adjust the screen down here, it's going to stick with the system, right? So I get it really tiny, it's there. Without this anchor, it wouldn't stay with the screen. It does not adjust text size, scale, so that might be something you need to look into. But that's up to you. I haven't figured out how to do it. There might be a built-in way to do that yet. So if I do find it, or if you guys know it, let me know and I'll talk about it. But basically, you can use these different anchors to really adjust where you want it to be. So if you want it anchored to the middle left over here, it's going to do that. So it's gonna basically gravitate towards that spot. That's where it thinks it needs to be. That's where it's gonna go. So we'll go ahead and do top left. I'm gonna move it back up to the top left. Bam, like that. Now, so that's the text option. You can tag it, you can put it in different layers, you can rename it all. So let's say this is test text. I suggest you renaming these objects if you're going to be accessing them in Unity. We're going to say this overlay canvas. The next thing I'm going to go ahead and cover in this video is adding a button and using the button in script. And while we're in script, we're going to go ahead and look at how to access both these components. So we're going to go ahead and create a new UI game object. It is going to be a button, and you see there a button is appeared. I'm going to go ahead and put it to the top left. I'm going to anchor it to the top left, or top right, excuse me. So now you see when I go ahead, I'm going to adjust the screen size. It keeps it together, or keeps it in the scene. I gotta go ahead and press play. You can see by default it lights up and stuff over hover. It's pretty cool. And there's some text in here. You can adjust that. It's a button text. So say you don't want any text on the button, you can actually just go ahead and delete that without a problem. Now you just have a button. There's different types of things you can do with the button. Here, this image is where you attach the image of the button to it. You can attach a material. All these can take lighting effects, so you can actually attach a light. Say if you have Unity Pro, you can attach a light here and have real-time lighting effects off the button. So if the button has a bump map or a normal map attached to it that shows indentations and stuff, that light, the real-time light, will actually be able to show that, which is really, really, really cool. Let's see, there's different ways to fill. So if you add a basically, if you add a, actually we'll talk about filled, that'd be good. So there's different types of image types that you can have: slice, simple, tiled, and filled. Filled is one thing that I'm sure a lot of you guys will ask about. This is a pretty cool, a lot of people that create RPGs, which a lot of you guys are on my channel because we're working on one, will want to use this for your HP bars. And basically because you can do a horizontal fill bar, which fills horizontally, right? I don't know if you do know this, but originally this was extremely hard to get to look good in Unity. This is a very, very challenging thing to get to actually look good in Unity. You had to use a whole bunch of like alpha manipulation and stuff. At least I couldn't ever get it to look good. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, you can look at the fill method. There's radial, 90, all kinds of things. You can start at different spots. If you want to do tiled, basically this image will tile whatever image you put in there. If you put sliced, you'll slice it up, and it's simple, it will change it. I don't know what simple does because I haven't messed with it. Remember all the stuff I've just played with over the last 2 days. So here we go. We have the button here. We have the button script. Now this script can be accessed. The type is called button. You can set it so it's not interactable. You can set the transitions. You can set the graphic. You can set the normal. All these different things. It's all accessible by script, which is really cool. A couple things. This transition color tint transition is by default, and that's where you get the change of color when you highlight over it and stuff. But there's some cool things you can do. You can add a sprite swap where it basically swaps the image, or an animation. So let's say you want the button to pop out at you, right? When you hover over it, a lot of newer games do this, I guess, is when you hover over the button, the button comes out of the screen. Well, you can do that with animations. All these new GUI elements can be used in the animator, the mechanism system, which will be a whole nother video if we go into that. I'm not really good at it, so maybe that'll be something we can do together on a live stream or something. Unity has put out a great video that's like 40 minutes long, I think, that basically goes over some of these animations. They built a GUI that's inside the game, which uses the canvas world space canvas, and they build a 3D GUI basically inside the game next to a player, it's really cool. You should definitely take a look at it if you're interested. But anyways, you can look at the buttons. Go ahead and set it back to color tint so we get that. The next thing here is navigation. Let's say if you have 20, I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate some buttons. So you have a button here. I'm gonna go ahead and move it down. Grab this button, and I'm going to move it to the right. Okay, so say you have these buttons and the person's using a controller. Well, you can set up navigation automatically, right? So that I'm going to go ahead and visualize. Basically, it sets up this way these buttons work. So if you're on this button, this top right button, and you hit the left key, it's going to go to the left one. If you hit right, it'll go to the right one. But if you're on this left one, you hit down, it's going to go over here. If you're on this one, you hit up, it's going to go over here. Or if you hit left, it'll go over here. So, again, you don't need to worry about navigation because, well, you might for your whatever project you're doing, but we're not going to talk about it much in this. This on-click event is really cool. Basically, you can have a script that's set up. I'm going to go ahead and actually set our test script onto overlay canvas. Okay, so attach the script to it. So basically, you can go ahead. I'm gonna create a gonna go ahead and open up test script in MonoDevelop, and we're gonna play around. We're gonna create a public function. Public. We're gonna say void clicked. We're gonna call it clicked. Okay. It doesn't need to be clicked and be anything you want. And we're gonna go ahead and do debug.log. I was clicked. Right. So go ahead and do that. Control to save. It's super simple. Now on the button, you see this onClick method. Basically, this is you can choose to do anything you want when you on-click something. Right. When you click that button, it will do anything you want. So you can come down here and you click Add, and it's going to take a game object. So what I do is I drag the overlay camera onto it. It's going to find that script that we added, the test script here, and it's going to show you the functions that we have. And the functions right here, you can see we have clicked. So I go ahead and clicked. And basically, it's going to when I go ahead and press play and I click that button, you see in the console that it debugs I was clicked. Simple. See how fast? I mean, it's so fast how you get a button up and running, and it's already. We have a button up. It's working to do. It's running code, and it's adjustable to the screen size. You can add animations to it. It's insane how quick you can get a really decent looking GUI up. And that's how you access the button. One thing I want to cover real quick before I end this video, this tutorial video, and like I said, I can do more if you guys want them. I want to show you guys how to access this text component or all the other components. So in a script up here, we're going to go ahead and create a couple things. We're going to create a public game object, and we're going to call it text. Yeah, call it text. Text GUI. Objects. I'm going to show you a couple ways to do it, and then we're going to go ahead and do public. We'll go ahead and do that for now. What we're going to do is in the start function is we're going to set the text for that text box to something at the start of our screen here. So what we need to do is get the component first, right? So we can't edit anything until we get that component, and there's a couple ways you can do this. First off is using this game object. So we can go ahead and say text game object is going to be equal to shoot, what is it? Oh, that's wrong. You want to actually have a text object, sorry. So go ahead and do a private text, type text, and you see it's not in here, and this is because what you need to do is come up here, and the new Unity engine or UI uses using a new library called Unity engine.ui. Okay, controls to save, and that's going to give you access to a couple more types. So one type is called a text type, and we're going to call this game text. So one way you can grab this text is go ahead and say text or game text is going to be equal to our text object up there dot get component, and it's the text component we want, right? So controls to save. So this is what this is allowing us to do is we're going to access the text component of the game object text. So what we're doing is we're looking at the game object here. We're saying we want the text component, and we're going to set that equal to this game text, and that's going to allow us to edit it. So what that is in Unity, I'll show you, is you see this test text component object here. It has a component called text, and basically we are looking for this component, right? And we're going to use this component and edit it. So if you go to overlay canvas, you see that we have this text GUI object here. I'm going to go ahead and attach this, and that way we can actually access it. And the way you edit it is you just go game text dot text. It's going to be equal to a string, and we're going to say hey, let's say hey, I changed, right? Controls to save. When I press play, it should change that text. Wow, look at that, super simple. So what I've been doing in some games is like I make these descriptive. So say this is a test text. Say like this is a player's score. You can go ahead and actually type that in there. So in the scene view, you know what that should be, right? So we know in game view it should be player score, and when we press play, hey, I changed. Oh, that's not the score. We know that that needs to be fixed. So there's another way you can access this without doing the game object thing, and basically what you do is it's a little more code. It's a little longer. Let's see if I can get it to work. It is since this is attached to a transform that has a child in it, you can go ahead and do transform. All right, let's go ahead and go ahead and do game text is equal to transform dot find child, and the child we're going to be looking for is test text. Right? Let me make sure that's right. It's called test text. So we're going to go ahead and try to find that. So we're finding that child. We're going to go, once we find the child, we're going to go dot get component. Same thing, and we're going to say, we want to find the text component. So I'm going to go ahead and comment this out. We're going to cut this, and we're going to change it. We're going to, we'll say, hey, I changed again. And this is just to show you guys that it actually is changing. So controls to save, and so what I'm going to explain what this is doing. Basically, it's looking at the transform that this script is attached to. In this case, it's a canvas. So it's looking at the canvas, and it's saying, hey, find the child that's called test text. And once it does, it's going to say, okay, now once you find that child, go ahead and get that component called text and set it equal to game text. And that's what this line of code here does. It eliminates you having to attach a game object, basically. I'm not sure how efficient find child test text is. That might be a better question for the Unity gurus. I'm not exactly sure. So I'm going to go ahead and control S to save. We're going to jump into Unity, and I'm going to press play. Oh, it's not long enough to see if it actually changed. There we go. Now you can see that, hey, I changed again. So now you know that we're accessing it here. By looking at the transform, which is the canvas, we're finding its child, and we're doing that. So now you might be wondering, well, how do I edit a button, a toggle, any of those? Well, the same thing. Each of those elements has a new type. So if you go private button, we'll call it game button. You can edit it, or if you go private toggle, say you have a toggle switch, you can find toggle in there. I think panels in there. It's not. What about label? I forgot. What else are they called? Let's see. I guess the image would be in there too. All of them should be in there. Scroll bar. Let's see if we can find scroll bar. Scroll bar. They're all in there, so you can edit them. So we have a button. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing here. We're going to go ahead and do game button is equal to transform dot find child. What is that? This is called button. So the child is called button. So we'll go in here and say button. We're going to get its component, get component, and we're actually going to get the button component. Right? Shoot, what is going on? I just opened up scripting on my other screen. Let's see. So get component. We're going to say, what did I say? Button. Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. It's getting annoying. Okay, controls to save. So now we got it. We can access it. So we'll go game button. Dot. You can look at what you can do with it. Animation triggers, camera collider, colors, anything. Let's set interactable to false. So I think you go interactable, and we're going to set that equal to false. Right. So that's going to basically allow you not to interact with that button. Controls to save. Go back to Unity, and we should see that work. You can see that it's darker now, and basically this is telling me it's not interactable. We actually changed this. I'm going to go ahead and stop pressing play. You see that by default, that button is set to interactable. It's true. When I press play, we're going to turn it off. And that's what that does. So that's how to access a button and a text in the new Unity GUI. Hopefully, you guys like this new GUI system. I love it. It's great. We talked about some anchors, some text, how to basically adjust the screen size and keep your objects in there. If you guys want more of these videos, please like and comment and tell me that you want them. I'll try to put some of these out. The more I learn about it, and the more I can impart my wisdom to you guys. But that's it for this video. I'll talk to you guys next time. Please like, subscribe, comment, and follow me. I got a Twitter page now. I got a Facebook page and a Twitch channel where I'm going to be live streaming. So follow all those if you want, and I'll talk to you guys next time.